Hello everybody to my human design freaks. In today's video I want to talk about my experimentation with the emotional wave and what is this thing about waiting to be clear or waiting for clarity, with the emotional wave, and how I have been seeing that change over the years until now that I really know what waiting for the wave means, because sometimes clients ask me, how much do I have to wait? That's the typical question that I get, right? And I always give them different answers. Sometimes I say that there's like waves of the sea. Each wave, it's different, right? So there are waves that are bigger and take longer. There are smaller waves, and there's never like a wave that is the same. And that's also applies as a metaphor to the emotional wave. So to put a little bit of context, what is the emotional authority? That's how it's called, right? Let's go back to what authority means. The authority is the one that governs. The authority is the one that says what we have to do. And the authority is not the mind. So the mind can be very good at seeing why we should do the things and why not we should do the things. So I always say that the mind is not a place to rely on, because the mind will always give you pros and will give you cons. Like ChatGPT, right? If you ask ChatGPT cons, he will find cons. And if you want to go pros, he will find pros. So you don't want to rely on that. But you have this authority, and if you have the solar plexus with color, and different channels, of course, then you have an emotional authority. So your authority is basically emotional. And that means that you take time to make decisions, in the sense that you are a deep being. And that's what I want to address firstly in the video, is that emotional beings are deeper than non-emotional beings, in the sense that they go through these highs and lows. They go through these different feelings in order to get a clear picture of what they are feeling. So they have depth, and some may not have so much depth because they haven't developed it. But emotional beings, emotionally defined beings, I don't want to say that we are emotional beings and others are not emotional beings, which is not the case. All of us are emotional beings. The thing is that we are consistent on that emotionality, but other beings are not consistent and inconsistent, and that's what an undefined center explains. It's the undefinition. It's the inaccessibility. You don't have access all the time to that emotion. You just have access when there's a transit that will light that up on your chart, or you're with someone that will light up that on your chart. But if you're emotional, you have consistent access to that. So yeah, you have a depth, and this depth is required, so you go deep into the process. And for example, let's put a first example, and the first example is about texting in WhatsApp, right? If you're a solar plexus defined like me, whenever you find yourself answering very quick, you will see that you don't have clarity still on what you want to answer. Yes, you can answer quickly, especially when there's things that are very mental, and there's not so much about connection. But sometimes when you want to give a clear answer to something, especially when someone has asked you something, or you have to make a decision about something, whenever you reply very quickly, I make a video about this just separately. You find yourself that you're answering, but maybe you could have answered more, and maybe you send more texts, because with the time, with the hours, you get more information. And that's what an emotion is an energy in motion. It's information that is moving through you. So you get that information with the time. And that's why you need more time to make decisions. You need more time to see the picture. So when I learned that I was an emotional authority, I thought I had to wait, right? But I was not waiting. I was just initiating all the time and thinking that I was just waiting. And now I can really know when I have to wait, when do I don't have to wait, and there's some times that I don't have to wait. I just know that I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for this. I just know this is right. And this comes also with my strategy, with the response, because I'm a generator. But that depends on your profile, of course. But sometimes you don't have to wait, and sometimes you have to wait months, years even. For example, this is the second time I come out again with the human design in Jinkies, which is something I'm passionate with. But I had to wait 1 year. I was 1 year with this confusion. Confusion is gate 64. It's Jinky 64, and I was very confused. Should I do this human design Jinkies channel or not? Right? And I took a lot of time, and sometimes I was getting into it, but then I was frustrated, and I had to wait until a certain point where I could respond to the living situation that I'm having right now. And there is where I knew, okay, now I have emotional clarity about this topic, but I still have to wait for the response. And this is also the tricky thing here, because you don't not only have the authority, you also have the strategy, which kind of goes first. So in this case with the emotional authority, it's very interesting, because sometimes you can have emotional clarity about something, but you haven't had the signal to respond to if you're a generator, or an invitation if you're a projector, or waited to reflect what you want to reflect. As a manifestor, is different, right? If you're a emotional manifestor, then yes, authority goes first, because you're an initiator. But for generators, for example, yes, I can have, for example, I have emotional clarity nowadays that I want to get a tattoo. Like it's there's no clarity on that. I already went through my wave, but I haven't found a tattoo artist that I like and that I feel comfortable with to do a first tattoo, for example. So I'm waiting still for the response. I'm not initiating in life to find the tattoo artist. I know it will come to me. It's just a feminine way of living, right? But let's not break the point of the emotional authority. So as I was saying, this is what I can say about my experience, that sometimes I don't have to wait. Sometimes I have to wait a lot. Sometimes I wait before responding because the authority comes first. And sometimes I just know that there is this clarity. So whenever you don't feel clear, right, that means that you still have to wait. And I promise you, there's a lot of gifts the more you wait. The thing that I've also found is that I was very much more anxious. Now I can say I just take anxiety as a signal, right? Anxiety is also an emotion. It's that I'm rushing. I'm rushing into the future, and I feel this tightness on the chest. Then that is an information for me to lower myself down and pause. Right? Before I was living anxious all the time, so it was impossible to wait for the emotional clarity, right? And sometimes also your mind can say that maybe this is not what I should be doing, but this is already the mind. So you have always to be very observant when is the mind speaking and when is the emotional clarity. For me, the emotional clarity feels like this peaceful state that I know this is for me. It's different from the gut response. So as a generator, manifesting generator, I have the gut response, which is like a pull. The emotional clarity is I'm ready for this, I have clarity on this. So whenever you ask yourself, do I have still clarity on this? You'll know when you have clarity. That's what I can say. And I think one of the things that has helped me with the Jinkies is like getting in this contemplative state most of the time of my day. So I really take time with things. I really have patience, which is Jinky 5. And then I just don't rush into things anymore, because I know that anything that is rushed, and anything that doesn't come from a stillness, which is Jinky 52, or stillness is the gate 52 in human design, won't have a good result. Anything that I act rushing onto, which is typically from the emotional wave, that's what I wanted to say before that I forgot. That is, before I was really anxious, I was really impulsive. Impulsivity is a typical trait of the emotional wave, because we are not waiting, so we jump into initiations, especially if we're not manifestors. We initiate and we don't wait. Either it's the response or either it's the invitation. Or sometimes we don't wait even to initiate, we just initiate, and that even if you're a manifestor and you're initiating, that doesn't mean that's the right choice. Or more than saying the right choice, the aligned choice for you. And what you find out is you create distortion. So I think whenever we act from a place of rush, I think it's never gonna have a good outcome for anybody, for ourselves and for anybody. Yes, we will have lessons to not doing again. But I think an important part of an emotional authority is to distress, be able to regulate, self-regulate on the anxiety, on the impulsivity, and really become really grounded, become really deep, becoming really, still, and taking time for anything. Even if it's just answering a message, on WhatsApp, you will see how much more nurturing and connecting, which is something that I do in my brand with my wife, Brad and Lola, about this nourishing connection that you can have with your partner or with a friendship, is taking time and taking time to nurture that, right? And taking the time to respond, taking time to talk, and it's that depth is nourishing, right? And you'll find the more you wait, the more you'll know. And that's what the last thing that I want to say in this video is, that the ability to wait is the ability to see different colors of the same picture. You go through different feelings, and you see after some days you've get much more clarity than what you had before. So I really think there's a power on waiting, because you'll take much less mistakes, you go faster to the goal, and that's also what you're looking for. You're looking for to acquiring that goal faster and not moving in all directions without progressing in your life, right? Progression is also a signal of evolution, right? Whenever we progress, we feel fulfilled. We're progressing towards a purpose, a direction, a mission, right? And we want to take time with that. We really want to make it sacred, and we don't want to rush into things. So I think after some time, I've really become this contemplative person. I really take my time with things. I really don't want to rush anymore with anything. And also simplify. I think simplifying your life, I think that's one of the keys to simplify your life. Anything, businesses, relationships, your house, your responsibilities, your commitments. Simplify all of those things, and you'll see you have more time to wait for the wave, and you see more clarity in your life. So if you have any question about emotional authority, you're not understanding anything of what I said, you want me to make a video about a specific case that you had, you didn't know if it was the right choice or not, you can leave it on the comments. I would read them, and probably I'll make a video answering to that commentary, so we can nurture the channel. I really like when you guys give me feedback. So follow for more videos on human design, how to apply your human design on your life. So see you on the next videos.